holy smokes. The next part in the build is getting all the wood, and this is the most exciting part for me. Exciting part? Did I just say that? Exciting part for me. We're getting some birch wood. I'm getting 10 sheets of it. I think it's 11 ply. I'm not sure exactly. But either way, I'm getting high quality shit. I think it's $29 a sheet, down from at least 45 bucks where I'm from, up in Maine. It's crazy how just 1,200 miles can make that much of a difference in price. Check it out. It's like the size of Lowe's, but it's just all wood stacked from the freaking ceiling all the way down. Oh yes. I'll come at you guys when we get the wood back at the homestead and start getting all the dimensions cut and getting this box design all the way over with. Man, this is getting exciting. Shit. Smells like a dirty knee pad. Yeah, like a sweaty knee pad. Well, alright everyone, she's coming together real good, getting the cuts all started. Got the left piece, got the right piece, got the beginnings of them all. It's gonna be all, you know, multiple layered and all that stuff. We're just getting the first cuts, and we're trying to save as much wood as possible. We're gonna go get a drink right now just because we're kind of thirsty and shit. But, yeah, it's coming together real good. What's going on, guys? EXO coming at you 6 months later. I know, that must have been one hell of a drink, right? Just wanted to share some photos of the build with you, since I didn't get as much footage in the moment as I wanted to, since I was doing it all by myself. So right from the get-go, we had the vehicle all stripped out. All there was 2 seats and some Deadener. That way I could clear out all the space I needed. Now the next step was building a very strong shell that would act as the internal walls of the enclosure. I actually did this in 4 different parts: a rear, bottom, and top, and then a front, bottom, and top. I pretty much just measured out all the cuts and then ripped down the 2 side pieces. That way they could mock up inside the vehicle, and I just lifted it up with my legs. It was pretty funny. I was standing there lifting it up like this. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I just knocked the camera all over and hurt my butt. For added strength, I used a lot of the angle braces with the 1/2-inch gussets, 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside, both for each side. And just to illustrate the amount of support screws going into these top pieces, we have screws going from the left to the right, from the right to the left, from the bottom to the top, and with those little right angle pieces from the top to the bottom. So that way when there's any weight bearing on it, it has both support going this way and that way. I used 2x4s to join them up. That way I could go with the taper of the vehicle kind of naturally. It made it a lot easier for me. I figured it was a lot easier than spending time doing a perfect 45, and doing it this way I actually gained some internal space, which I needed. So here's a photo just showing how thick this actually is. It's 2 layers of 11 ply birch, which then I took some 2x4s and just laced them down the top, and then filled it up with great stuff foam, and then called it good, because you can walk on top of the roof without it depressing one single bit. Thought that was pretty cool. So with both shells pretty much complete and assembled, the next part was to bring the front portion up and join it with the back portion. Used lots of mini plates in PL Premium. That way when she smushed together nice and tight, there'd be no room for air to escape through the seams. The next is one of the most frustrating parts, trying to get the front portion of the enclosure to match the height of the rear portion. All I had to do was take 2 different jacks, alternate pumps until it slowly came up to the right level, and then I took some 2x4s and accordingly just shoved them underneath the box. That way I could just go right in the enclosure and strap it right down to the frame. And then from the underside, boom, 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 same damn thing. So the next step I had to worry about was making the baffles, which was a whole project in itself because of the spacing of the woofers and the limited space I had in my expedition. I had to totally think of a way to fit them in that space without losing 300 square inches of port area. So this particular baffle, as you can see, has the notch cut out of it, so that will be the respective top piece that it goes to, and the bottom pieces don't have that notch because it goes straight bottom to the floor. And as you know, that top cutout takes out some internal volume. So to match up the top volume with the bottom, I just added an extra 2 inches to the top to match the bottom portion. Now it may look like I assembled all 3 of these baffles inside the garage and then installed it later, but I actually didn't. I just wanted to show up and mock out what it would look like beforehand. So the next part was to secure the baffles permanently to the box. To make everything work, I had to do things like a puzzle. I started from the bottom and worked my way up. Now this would be the strongest of all because the gravity is basically doing all the work. It'll be sitting right on top of the wood, and any weight applied to that, it's not going to be doing anything. And now from this angle, you can start to see how everything actually did fit in like a puzzle piece. There's notches cut out here and voids here because there's pieces that actually fit right into that. This picture actually will explain that. It fits in perfectly right there, just like a puzzle piece. And this by far was the heaviest piece of the box that I had to lift. And I think I called Rick out to hold it up like this while I drilled it in. I did a number on Rick that day. That was a heavy piece. Oh, I got someone calling me. The back baffle fits right in and sits directly on top of the bottom, so that way gravity would be doing all the work again. Just looking at this picture, my legs are already getting tired because I can look back on it thinking, oh my god, it was so much work trying to get this in there. Now at this point, the rear walls aren't added and it looks a little funky, but kind of cool at the same time. There's no port and no sides, so it's gonna look a little weird midway through. But you can see how the back baffle just wedged right in between those and is not going anywhere. Pretty much impossible for it to move. And believe me, I spared no expense on the PL. Everywhere I saw, I was just like, because I'd rather have things be wicked strong and look ugly for a couple days instead of have it weak and have it look good for the whole time. Now that I had a good jump on the inside, I went ahead and focused on the outer shell with lacing it up with 2x4s. Just one after another like a picket fence on steroids. Had that thing looking so there's no air going through it. With 618s, you never know what's going to be flexing. If metal is flexing, you're damn sure that there's going to be a little bit of wood flexing in your box. So I wanted to try to prevent that. So next up, I was kind of considering how to attack my amp rack, which I still consider a pretty big part of my box. I didn't have enough space to fit my sound stream, so I had to angle them the whole way across from left to right, and put some hinges on the center so I could make the angles anything I wanted. And then right next to those would be my fan setup with just a 1/2-inch birch. It was more work than needed to be done, but it looked better that way. As you can see, the amp rack all tacked up, looking pretty good. Now I'm just showing you wiring up my fans. Got both left and right wired up to the relay. Figured I'd show you a little picture of the amps, even though they're not in there right now. This is what the sound streams did look like when they were in there, looking all spiffy, even with that gaudy ass freaking metal spider on the front of it. Really not a fan of that. Now brace yourself, because I'm skipping ahead a couple days here. I guess I didn't have as much on my SD card as I thought, but what you're looking at right now is my near complete wall. There's no paint on it, but what I did since the last picture is add the sides, add the bottom bevel, add the top, add the front pieces, I added all kinds of different stuff to the box since you've seen it last. One change in particular, you can see the nice 45s I added. I like that little aesthetic touch. Got her all sanded down the important areas where I addressed with Bondo and wood filler and all that crap to make her extra smooth. I would spend days just sanding. Days and days just sanding now, and I'm so happy I stuck with it and let my shoulders stretch out into a whole new lifetime. I'm freaking 80 years old now on my shoulders. But one special thing I did to this box was on all the seams, I rounded it over with some Bondo, and I basically just put a whole lot of it on every square seam to make it all rounded. But I won't lie, that added an extra 2 or 3 days of work. But it was all made well worth it the second I put primer on the box. It just popped. And I almost wanted to keep the color white, but you know, I was really hell-bent on some other color schemes. I probably spent 2 or 3 days doing the primer, and then another, like, probably day doing the sanding. You know, like 8 hours here, 8 hours there. I don't know what it was, but something about that primer just made the box so smooth. I would go in there from time to time just, like, touching it. Oh, it was awesome. Oh, and I think one thing I forgot to mention was the roof that I did. A whole nother friggin' like week of work. Really, really intensive. 2 layers of birch with tons of PL and expanding foam. You can go on top of my roof and jump up and down it. It doesn't depress whatsoever. No windshield flex, no roof flex. Freaking awesome. Just to shed a little light on the amount of detail I put into this, if you pay close attention to the port, you can actually notice that it has a taper coming down like this, like a little, like a modded flare type of thing. I did it all by sanding. Now this whole time, I'm not sure if you quite noticed or not, but the inside cutouts for the subwoofers are actually pretty jagged. So when I got home from Tennessee, I actually had to go ahead with a router and make those nice and smooth so I could put my subs in without them flexing and hitting corners of the box and maybe tearing my surround. Had to be very careful of that. And then the time came for my buddy Tate Porter to come over, and of course Robbie. They came over and helped me put in the subs, and once we got the 2 top subs in, it was all cookies from there because I was so excited. And after that was done, she was ready for the official paint job. So I put some trash bags over all the motors. But what's kind of funny is that the original idea for the paint job kind of switched directions and didn't go that way because it looked like Ronald McDonald. So basically all the red stripes that you see are pointless. But the second I started painting her, it all started to come clear. I loved this color. Ultra bright, in your face, and it has a wicked good contrast between my dark subs and the light paint job. It'll look great on film. And if you want to see more pictures just about the paint job, go ahead and check out my other video because I did a little cool slideshow of the whole thing. So that's pretty much how the box came together. Thanks for, being interested and watching this video. And the next build, I promise, I'm gonna have someone there filming for me. I'll hire someone before I do it all alone again. I'm telling you, it was a hard job, very stressful, had a lot of breakdowns, but I made it, guys. I freaking made it. I'm so happy to be here and back on YouTube and accepting and reading comments and replying, and it feels good, guys. So 2013 was an awesome year. Started in 2012, but I'm here. I'm back. All right, this is EXO, and talk to you guys in the next series of videos. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. She's doing good.